Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, English for Professionals. I'm really happy finally I'm able to address you in person. Now of course today I'm going to tell you how to improve your English for professionals. Okay, so it's like English is a foreign language. So you want to work hard to master it. Now, the major thing that I see in English language is, you know, it's quite different from our local languages, Sinhala and Tamil. Okay, so the best thing is you have to start it from the beginning. Okay, so up to some level, all of you have mastered it because maybe in the school, maybe in the university, in some professional courses, you have done it. But the problem here is, studying a language requires some kind of commitment and dedication for that matter. Now, don't fall to the cheap tactics like I'll improve your English within say 1 week, 2 week, 3 months. There is a camp there, you come here. No, you can't do that. Okay, at least for a professional you can't. Okay, because a professional English means you want to have kind of English uh, with which you can very effectively communicate with your other colleagues. So that is what we mean by professional English. So what is the difference between professional English and normal English? Normal English, of course, so it is a language that you use to communicate between two or more persons. Understand? So as an example, I'll tell you something. Now this one, of course, I want to tell you. Uh, if you look into uh, now of course to study English, one of the best thing is to refer to memes, FB memes, because most of them are created by natives. Okay, so sometimes of course you can understand uh, how the natives use the English language and also the errors they are making. Okay, so when a set of natives make an error over and over again, it becomes a tradition. But we can't do that because we are not natives. Okay, so don't think that we can make an error and make a tradition of it. We could do that if we had kind of Sri Lankan English. Unfortunately, we don't have. Now, sometimes back, some of my friends asked me, uh, dude, usually we use batch for batch. Is that correct or wrong? They asked me. Then I told them, whatever the word a community is using, you can't call it wrong. Unfortunately, our English speaking population in this country is very less, so we cannot independently develop something called Sri Lankan English. But there is something called Sri Lankan English also. Okay, so maybe you have heard that people sometimes use no at the end. "Ja coming no? Huh? You are doing this for me no?" So it is not there in British or American English. Okay, so that is kind of Sri Lankan version. Even in Indian English, I haven't seen this asking no at the end. So maybe this is so much like special to Sri Lanka using no at the end, right? But when it comes to English, especially for professionals, we have to know the words that we are using and how we are going to convey a message. So it should be very clear to the audience, right? Otherwise, what happens is if we are not going to convey a message very clearly, then of course people will misunderstand. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. So how we are going to improve our English, right? how we are going to improve our English. Number one, you have to have a time for that. At least 10 minutes a day. Okay. So first thing, read some articles. Whatever subjects you want. Okay. Just as an example, if you are interested about cricket, you read about it. If you are interested about rugby, read about it. If you are interested about cinema, read about it. Whatever. Why? Because you want to collect many words as possible. That is the first secret of a language. Okay, you have to have a very good vocabulary. Okay, that's the number one of the success story of English. Then, while you are collecting your words, study the grammar rules. So how can you study grammar rules? That is exactly what I'm doing through my YouTube channel, teaching some grammar and the ways of speak, no, not the speaking, ways of using the language, right? But if you really want to improve quickly, take some standard book, Wren and Martin's English Grammar and Composition, or Oxford series, and study them. Okay, in the same time, once you study a grammar rule, you use that. No, you check when every time you read some article or something, you check whether it is being correctly used. Okay, and once you are somewhat okay or comfortable with the language, go for YouTube series. Okay, just like there are so many series now in YouTube. Some are some are teaching English. And one thing I'll tell you, I do not trust most of these. There are some YouTube channels in this country teaching English to Sinhala by self-proclaimed gurus, but I don't really appreciate them because most of the things they teach are not very proper. Okay, I'm also not an English teacher, so don't rely on me also. You better you better try with some native speaker channels. Now for British English, there is a very good channel. I should not mention the name, but you can of course search and check. So you can follow these YouTube channels. So the other problem is some tell me, so I'm trying so much. I have dedicated whole my life for English, but of course I cannot speak. Why? Now don't worry. The thing is, I'll tell you, the problem you have. The problem you have is, of course, you are not exposed to English, and you have kind of some hesitation to speak English. Number one is, don't think that you are going to make a mistake and that is the end of the world. That is not so. Okay, even the natives make mistakes. That's not a big deal. So why should we worry? I mean, it's a language. It's not a kind of a jewelry to wear or something. It's just a language. So why should we worry? The best thing is you try to speak, right? Then if you are going to speak there, uh, after a while, you will be able to speak. There is no any other secret there. Now I'll tell you one thing. English is my passion, and so is French. So I have been studying French for more than 25 years, but I can't speak French like I do with English. Okay, I'm reading my books. I'm following all the tricks I'm telling you. I'm reading my books. I'm reading the articles. I'm watching YouTube, and in French. Right? I understand it, but I can't speak. Why? Because I don't have any exposure to that environment. I haven't worked with the people who are speaking French. Okay, then only we can improve our language skills. Okay, otherwise what happens is, if it is just like you are just staying at home reading a book, watching a YouTube channel, or kind of say you are watching a film or whatever. So you will understand the language, but you will never be able to speak. To speak, you have to speak. And there is another misconception. Now, some people say, right? Some people say, uh, don't translate into Sinhala or Tamil, right? But the thing is, if you really in a lower level, if you are really in a lower level, translate. It doesn't matter. So, best thing is not to translate, but it will take more time. But if you are in a lower level, start from the translation. Then after a while, you will come into some level. Then of course you can use English. Like, right, if you don't understand anything, you refer an English dictionary. But the problem is now you don't know the meaning of a word and you refer to the dictionary that is also in English and you don't understand that also. It's not going to work. Believe me. Right? Why people say do not translate isn't. Now you may remember when I say will and would, that language, that grammar pattern is I have seen only in English, not even in French. Okay, that's only in English. So you can't translate that into some other language. So you have to understand where to use will, where to use would in English itself. That is why people say don't translate, but that is in some advanced stage. Okay, that is in some advanced stage. But in the very beginning, you can of course start translating. No harm, right? Then the other thing is always first thing I have to tell you that select your language pattern. Huh? Is it British or is it American or is it Australian or is it Canadian? Whatever. Okay, now for us Sri Lankans, it is usually the British English that we are using. Okay, so don't think using some American stuff in between will make you any smarter. No. Why? In Sri Lanka also we are using this language for more than 200 years now. There is a way we speak and that's more inclined to British, not American. Okay. So when somebody asks a question, are you coming tomorrow? Say yes, not yep. That is some Yankee stuff. Nobody is speaking it here in Sri Lanka. Okay. Say yes. So yeah. So that is the British thing. But really, if you are planning to migrate into America or Canada or whatever, you may use that English. But remember, American English is not only yep. Okay, American English is not only trash for garbage, right? So, like, you have to have, because the thing is now getting exposure to American English is very limited in Sri Lanka. Okay, most of the people in this country speak a version of British English. Okay, with some added flavors from Sri Lanka. Okay, so I am a supporter of something called Sri Lankan English, because what I understand is that the English we speak here in this country is different even from the British version, right? But anyway, you have to select whether it is British or American. If it is British, you follow the British YouTube channels. You follow the British films, right? Or their colonial films like Indian films or whatever, right? But if you are going to study, if you want to be confident on American English, you follow that. But don't mix them up. Huh? Just think now, for our Sinhala audience, I would say you can't speak like a Canadian and a Southerner in the same time. For our Tamil people, you can't speak like a Jaffna fellow and an Eastern fellow at the same time. You have to be one. You have to have an identity of one, right? So what I suggest is, as Sri Lanka was a British colony, our best identity is about British English, not American English. Okay. So anyway, if you migrate to America, then you can use American English. That's okay. But for the time being, while you are in Sri Lanka, better to try with British version. Okay. So after that, Once you select that, right, you can study on them, right? The best thing is, of course, you have to practice. There are no any other tricks. There is no magic, nothing. That is only the practice and collecting more and more words. And other thing is, you have to have exposure to understand where to use which word. Okay, sometimes you might have seen that people are being ridiculed for using some very advanced or like very the words that are not really used. Now as an example, now I'll tell you, uh, maybe you can follow some old books, okay, like Enid Blyton's famous five or something. They are very old books written about a century back. So you might say, now following this book, when a person is coming, you want to say surprise, hey presto. So this is no longer used. Okay, so don't use such words, right? Now as an example, there are some such words that usually we don't use frequently in these times. Okay, so you have to get rid of them also, otherwise it's like you are speaking like some old chap. Okay, now even chap is something old. Now we usually say guy, old guy, right? So these things you have to be very familiar with, otherwise you can't speak English. Okay, now when it comes to say speak in English, so you have to have your vocabulary, you have to have your grammar rule. Now some people say the grammar is not very important. No, grammar is important. Okay, why? Otherwise, why there is something called grammar? Because others want to understand what you are telling. Okay, because grammar is not that singular. For the singular, the verb should add is at the end. For the plural, you don't need that. You can say he eat or he eats. Everybody understands. That is not that is not the only grammar. The grammar is a vast subject. Okay, so study proper grammar, how to use sentence patterns, and these things you have to learn. After that, of course, you can and forget your dream to become a native speaker. That you can't do. Our skins are brown, not white. Okay, so that is some unnecessary dream. So we'll speak like foreigners. That's enough. Okay, why we want to speak like a native? Huh? We don't want to become natives of UK or America. Huh? We will become foreigners who speak proper English. That's all. So everybody understands, right? So in my next video, I'm going to give you some more tips. Keep on watching, and also don't forget to subscribe my channel and press the bell icon. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.